Welcome everyone to the March edition of Parks. This is my first meeting as chair, Ben France. I'm sorry I was gone last. Um, please be patient with me today. It's my first one, so if I mess up, just let me know. But don't be mean about it. So let's go ahead and start with roll call. If Mahogany can go ahead and get that started. Here.
Can you hear me?
Okay. You're good.
Commissioner Sam Ellis.
Here.
Commissioner James Firstall, Vice Chairman James Firstall. Commissioner Cannon Fletcher.
Here.
Chairman France.
Here.
Commissioner Linda Smith. Commissioner Mike Bernardo.
Here.
Commissioner Ron Barra. Commissioner Summer Campbell.
Here.
Commissioner Shamia Woods.
Here.
Commissioner Quincy Grant. Commissioner Quentin Whiteside.
Here.
City Director Cappy Peck.
Here.
City Director Andrea Lewis. City Attorney Beth Carpenter.
Here.
I counted 7 from the commission, so it looks like that's a quorum for us. Is that right, Attorney Carpenter?
Director Couch, how many are currently sitting on the
There's 11.
11, so that's
Is that his quorum?
Okay, can I get a approval of the minutes from one of the commissioners, please?
I'll motion to approve the minutes, but I do have a question about the minutes, maybe after we approve them.
Okay. Can I get a second? Second was approved by Commissioner Ellis. Okay. What was your question you had?
So I know I missed a meeting, I think in December, and it seems like maybe from there we transitioned to a transcript versus summarized kind of minutes. Was that purposeful, or I'm not sure why we changed our process. So right now we have full transcript. It's really long to review, where I would rather see just a few bullets of what the substance of the issue is and whether we took any action on it.
We've just recently discussed that. So again, you get another gold star for that comment. And we are transitioning to more of a summation of the minutes. So thank you, Mike.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to citizens communication. Any citizens here? I don't see that. Next agenda item is director presentation from Director Couch when he's ready. So. Yeah. Director presentation.
Oh, yes.
Discussion.
Hey, thank you. Yes, for the goal of this time period, as Ben and I have discussed, is to cover projects that we'll be planning on taking to the City of Little Rock Board, just for extra comments, as well as y'all's advice and understanding of what's going on. So we don't have the exact timing of these because there's a lot that goes into this, but things that are up and coming that would like to just brief the commission real quickly are, we do have 4 ARPA projects, which are for our community centers. I've discussed this in detail before. If there's any questions on those, I can get into them, but we're at the point of finalizing construction documents, and we'll be putting them out to bid, and then we'll be taking those bids when they're successful to the board for approval. There's a couple other ones that are on our radar. And there's a ADA transition plan, which we've been working on for a long, long time in terms of what to do, how to do it. We have selected a vendor, Cromwell, to do that. And now we're in the process of working through proposals to finalize that. And we'll be taking that to the board for approval as well. And then we're also working on some project renderings. We're always looking for somebody to help us with project renderings. This is for light design and rendering so that we can share project concepts with the citizens or with the public so that they can get understanding of what we're trying to accomplish. So we have selected EDG for that process, and we'll be working with them on our proposal. So I think those are our highlights. If there's any direct questions to any of those, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions for Director Couch? I got a question. Can you talk about the process for the timing of when you would present to the board after you talk here? So would it be a week later or 2 weeks later? Can you talk so we can all understand?
Yep, good question, Ben. So there is a huge process in regards to getting the proposal, packaging that together. I take it to my direct superior, which is the acting city manager. We talk about, approval, make sure that's what we want to do and she wants to do. Eventually that gets put in the timeline to go to the board. That process is typically like a 2 to 3 week process because we have to get it in early enough so that we can discuss it at some of our executive meetings. And then it goes to the board and make sure it gets on the agenda for the board, and then it gets to the director's meeting. So there's a detailed process there, and I have a schedule of like how often you can get, what time you have to get it in, which I could share with the commission.
Okay.
I know that's kind of a vague answer, but it's a vague answer because there's a lot of scenarios, well, we didn't get the proposal. So if I don't get a proposal back from a company in a timely manner for whatever reason, it might delay the process. Or the agenda, for example, when we came back from the holidays, I think the agenda for the board of directors had something, I don't know how many items were on it. And so I was actually asked, like, how many of these are emergencies or how many of these are pressing? Those kind of things. Can we delay it to the next week? So it kind of depends a little bit on what other things the board is reviewing, because the board meeting is for all departments. So sometimes it gets full.
I would use this time as Leland talks about upcoming projects. I mean, feel free to give your opinion about it, your lights, dislikes, why we're doing it here as opposed to there. I think it's just a good exercise to see what projects are actually going to the city board that could become a reality for our part. So I think it was a change that we kind of wanted to make to actually have some comments on the actual votes that will go to Director Lewis, Director Peck, and the rest of the city board on upcoming city council meetings. So any questions for myself or Leland about this kind of director's presentation / report? Before we get to old business, I think Vice Chairman Firstel, Commissioner Grant has joined us via video. So I just wanted to point that out for Mahogany that she sees that.
I have.
Hello.
Thank you so much, guys.
Present.
All right. Thank you, guys. So just a quick summary. We've gone through agenda items up through welcome, roll call, citizens communication, director presentation. I hope you guys heard from Director Couch on the new kind of new director of communication he's going to talk about. Going into old business, any comments on old business? I'm going to have a comment on, I'm going to talk about the new agenda format, but before that, I want to see if there's any comments about the old business from last month.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know on the Heineman, is there on that park, just the ask that was there is internally, Leland, have you guys considered that? Or, I mean, just sort of what are the steps so that we understand that a little bit?
Yeah, I think the presentation, they had something like 15 or 20 different requests. Staff and as well as I are looking at which ones are maintenance related, and we have funding for maintenance, and we'll move forward with fixing some of those things. And I thought the idea of putting a sign in is something we should move forward with. I've asked to move forward with that at the entrance of the park, and relabel the fact that obviously there's not a golf course there anymore, and we have the disc golf course. And I've been checking our website as well in terms of, we're currently, I don't know if we've fixed this yet, but we weren't highlighting the fact that we had disc golf courses out on the old golf course. Anyway, there's a lot of clarifications there that are in process. In regards to big capital items, that will be for the sales tax. We do have a process where we're starting to define our master plan out there even more. And I encourage the public to be a part of that. And there'll be more information on that to share.
Thank you.
Any other questions on old business?
I have actually one comment. So something that, Ben, I think we've overlooked is that events and communications, Brittany is here, and we had that on our previous agenda in terms of just real briefly, hey, this is what we've done and what we haven't. So I don't know if, since it's not on the agenda when the appropriate time is, but if we can make sure we get that on the new agenda as well. But
yeah,
if you want her to speak a few words about what we've been doing and what events are coming, potentially. Yeah.
Let's go ahead, Brittany, if you don't mind, talking about upcoming marketing, communication, events, all the above.
Sure. Hello, commissioners. Happy Wednesday. A couple of things that I would like to highlight are the 2 community meetings that we hosted in Alsop for the mountain bike multi-use trails. We had about 25 residents directly from that neighborhood show up and provide feedback. The overall sentiment was they were in support of it, and everyone provided feedback on which trails. We proposed 3 different sections of trails, and everyone provided feedback on which ones they wanted to see. We also had targeted neighborhood outreach and Reservoir Park neighborhoods. So we had representation from 6 of the abutting neighborhood associations, and we had 75 people attend that meeting, where Director Couch, Deputy Director Dorsey, and myself conducted informational presentations on the master plan of the re-envisioning of Reservoir Park. So we, again, got feedback from everyone attending there on what their first, second, and third priorities were for the rebuild at Reservoir Park. Upcoming events, the Eclipse is coming, which is our big focus, and our community centers have created a slew of programs focused towards resident engagement, because we know the CVB is really focusing on people coming into the city for the first time. So we're trying to make sure that our residents are engaged and informed. We've ordered 10,000 solar eclipse glasses with a healthy donation from McFarland Eye Care. And so we'll be distributing those through all of our community centers, and as well as the fire department and police department. I encourage you to look at our website and the calendar of events. Everything that has the City Eclipse logo with stars behind it, that is an eclipse related event. So we're doing education. One of the biggest things we're doing is a pop-up planetarium at Dunbar Community Center next Tuesday, where all of our community centers will bring their spring youth over to learn about solar systems, eye care, and health as it relates to looking at the sun during the eclipse. And the next biggest thing is that my second job duty on my job description is to create a newsletter. So the volume of information that is provided to this commission is awesome, and I will be utilizing AI software as well as my design skills to create a newsletter. We've already put that out to the public and have a few subscribers, but we're exploring using the mayor's memo and our list of volunteers and our list of people that have already joined in community centers and youth athletics to blast that out for the first time. And we'll be tracking and reporting that, that subscription base as a performance measure. So I'll be using your reports to create a newsletter every month. And that's all I have. If there's any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Thanks, Brittany. How do you subscribe to the newsletter?
So on our website, there under more information, there is a link to subscribe to the newsletter.
And that, you think the contents of that, in addition to what you hear and see here, is upcoming events?
Yeah, probably more of very, very concise tidbits, trying to think of it almost like each little article as an ad, try to capture that attention. We have a very broad demographic of people that access facilities, parks, outdoor recreation, athletics. So trying to have a short message for each of those user groups is important to me. And then getting them to the information they need, whether that lives on our website, on our ActiveNet registration portal, or through a partner. So yeah, it will build on staff reports as well as things that I've been looped in on that are upcoming special events and photography and ribbon cuttings. Today we cut the ribbon at the boardwalk at Margaret Clark's Treehouse. So I'll be writing a little article about that.
That's great. I think that's much needed. There's so much things that the Parks Commission does, and all you guys. I think having a concise report every month is going to be good for our citizens of Little Rock. So thank you. Any other questions for Brittany?
Yes, I was going to ask you about the Reservoir Park meeting. What was kind of the gist of some of the ideas that people had, or what was some things that were discussed about the park?
That's a great question. I don't know if Leland wants to take that. I'm happy to give my perspective. We also took the opportunity at these community meetings to do a survey of before and after, because we're educating the residents on the wealth of information and how to navigate that information on the website. So teaching people about the budget book and our website and the fact that there is a newsletter coming to help them understand our capacity and our mission. For Reservoir Park in particular, they heard essentially the timeline of all the work that had been done up to this point, including coordinating with FEMA and insurance, the cleanup efforts that had occurred, the partnership with Public Works to capture green waste and then transport that to the landfill. And then we previewed the master plan that was, I think all of the design was donated by Cromwell Architects. So Chris Easton, one of his architects, was there to present on that plan and touched on some of the more beautiful structural features and some of the, the nitty gritty of like soft surface trails, paved trails, a golf course. We had a lot of people from the disc golf community there to advocate for a rebuild of a disc golf course and, the playground, and previewed both a natural and a built playground. And essentially we gave people 3 pins. So we had a large foam board map, and people had a red pin, a blue pin, and a yellow pin. And we asked for their priorities. So we saw in that feedback that the disc golf courses were a high priority based on who was there at that meeting. That isn't the last meeting we're going to have. And then from there, trails and access to the park from the west corridor was also very important.
What about the softball field? Did they mention that?
Yes. So the softball field, there was that was mocked up. It didn't show up as a very high priority, but I know there was a local coach there that is of that neighborhood that used it and was there and spoke to that. And there's talk in the plan of like reorienting that. But yeah, I will make all this information available in a newsletter.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to make a quick comment. It was a great meeting. There were probably 75 or so people there, not just from Leawood and surrounding areas, but other parts of the city that were users and loved Reservoir Park. And am I right, Leland, that Cromwell did that design at no cost?
Yes, so Cromwell, they reached out to us from the very beginning of the tornado and helped us and continually help us with design and erosion concerns and all kinds of different factors for the park. And so they came and gave a great presentation. We could do that again. The whole point of the meeting was about just where, I mean, it's almost been a year since the tornado. It's kind of like what has been accomplished in that year to showcase, you know, to the citizens that staff have been working really hard and what have we been able to accomplish. We are about to make some major improvements to the existing facilities that were damaged, but yet weren't torn down because they weren't completely destroyed. So anyway, and just to comment on the tornado challenges for Little Rock Parks, Murray is essentially almost fully completed. Reservoir is where we just said, and then Rock Creek, the contractor is actually working on clearing the debris as we speak. On the way here, Justin and I saw a truck going down 630 hauling debris. I kind of got a little chill because we've been working with the federal government and others to get a grant for that, which is almost $1 million in funding. And it's just really exciting to get that moving forward. And I know the neighbors and everybody in the area will be very thankful once they see that area cleaned up. So it's great.
Thank you.
And I guess it's 1 year, March 31st. So
that's correct.
Coming up. Appreciate all y'all, everyone's help on the tornado reliefs and everything, even with the parts. I want to spend just a few minutes in your packets. You should have gotten a draft agenda that I would like to present to the commission on. I think one of my goals is to make these meetings a little more productive and concise. And there's not a whole lot of changes, but I just want to kind of go through it. And after I go through it, feel free to ask questions or comments. But it's you know, we'll have a welcome. Can everyone see it? Did everyone see this new agenda draft? Everyone's got it? Okay. Okay. Mahogany just put it on the screen as well. But basically, this is what I'm proposing. You know, welcome, then a roll call, approval of minutes, citizen communication. Each citizen gets 2 minutes if they're here. And then director report, we kind of talked about already. Discuss upcoming projects to be voted on at city board and any other comments Director Couch has. And then discussion of staff reports. We're not going to have each staff member go over report. They do a great job of actually writing out their staff reports, and I think it's on us to read it before the board meeting. And if you have any questions, that's your time to ask questions about the staff reports. But we're not going to have the actual board present, and we're going to try to get staff or the packet to you the Friday before the Wednesday. And then, you know, old business, new business, agenda items from next meeting, then board liaison and feedback. So it's not a whole lot of change, but I just wanted to present that to you guys and get your comments, questions about this new agenda format.
Hey, Ben.
Yeah.
Yes, Commissioner Firstall.
So I think we need to have an agenda item that's on there every month, just as even if it's a placeholder for outside presentations. We talked about this last time.
Okay.
That would be the only addition I can see.
That would be separate from new business, just a separate one?
Yeah, it would be just a placeholder for, you know, just like the Heineman Park presentation last time.
Yeah. Okay.
And it would be limited. The suggestion was it'd be limited to one presentation per meeting.
Okay. I'm assuming first come, first serve?
Yep.
Whoever asked first. Okay. Right.
And I have a couple other comments I think we overlooked. And it'd be interesting to discuss would be subcommittees and then also events. I can cover some of the events in director's report, but events are always so up and coming and kind of hot topic. And just if we want to throw that in there somewhere. So those are my comments.
Should we have, I mean, I think having events, shouldn't take very long in new business to discuss upcoming events. As far as the staff reports goes, or subcommittee reports, there hasn't been a lot of discussion the past 6 or 7 months when these are presented. I'm just curious on anyone's comments on having those presented at the actual board.
I think having it on there is a forcing function, hopefully.
It's a what?
A forcing function, hopefully, for actually having some.
Yeah.
I mean, my question is, do we even need them? I don't know if it's required, but I don't think any of them met this last 12 months. So.
Yeah, I don't. There hasn't been really any activity, and I was the chair of the social media and outreach, and I just with Brittany on board, I don't know if that's even a Darrenita committee if we have someone that's doing that as part of the job. Yes.
That is correct.
Yep.
Article
Does it need to be
7,
discussed at the board?
right, Article 7, appointment of committees, they are listed in the bylaws. The commission shall have these permanent committees. This commission can change the bylaws. There's a provision right underneath there for amendments to the bylaws. The bylaws can be amended by presenting the proposed amendment in writing at a regular meeting and then voting on it the next meeting.
If I could make a quick suggestion, previously to my role here, we weren't doing subcommittees. I really tried to encourage bringing them back. We did have some meetings in the last year with master plan. Parks Conservancy did it as well. We did not have anything on social media. I think the subcommittees are important. I think there's a placeholder that you could put in there. Might not be that we have a presentation every time, but I could see where the subcommittees could change. I mean, if we have an up and coming tax discussion, maybe there's a subcommittee about taxes. I would love to have that extra time to be able to discuss those things. So, I mean, the committees could change, or the idea around them could change, but having an opportunity, at least a placeholder to discuss it, I think is viable.
Hey, Beth, does there need to be a chairperson for each subcommittee, or is it just a subcommittee?
The bylaws provide that there is a chair for each
Okay.
subcommittee.
I don't know. I think Linda was the chair for the
Master plan.
Master plan. I'm not sure for the part. So maybe in new business next month we vote on new chairs for each subcommittee.
And the bylaws do state that the chair of the commission, the chair of the commission shall appoint the chair of any permanent or temporary committee. And then the chair of that committee will populate the committee, and that will be approved by this commission.
Are the committees open to any topic?
Well, we have Parks Conservancy, Master Plan, and Vision, and then Outreach, Social Media. Those are the 3 permanent commissions, and then there can be temporary committees.
Yeah.
Just make sure I heard you right, Beth. So the chair of the commission would have to appoint the chair.
The chair of each of the committee, and then the chair of the committee would populate his or her committee.
Who appoints the chair of each committee?
You do as chair of the commission.
Does that have to be done in next month's meeting, I'm assuming?
Yes, it would have to be done in a regular business meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just put that on for new business for next month to appoint new chairs for each subcommittee / open discussion about new subcommittees.
I have a question.
Yeah.
The gadfly down here. Parks Conservancy, what's the thrust of that since it's its own entity now?
Are you asking what the Conservancy does, or what would this subcommittee do for the?
Maybe both.
Both. The Park Conservancy is our nonprofit foundation. They meet monthly. They have an active board. The biggest goal is to raise funds and manage funds for projects. So if a citizen or a group of people wanted to donate, say Jim Daly users wanted to donate to Jim Daly, they could establish an account with our Park Conservancy. They also have a Friends program that they've started last year, which we're trying to figure out how to, not figure out, but trying to start promoting this year internally from a department. But so that's what the Conservancy does. And a handful of other things that help with some of our bigger events, and they help with some of our property. There's a lot of stuff in their bylaws that they can and can't do. Our subcommittee, I mean, I don't know the exact time, how that was initially established. I'm assuming, unless Beth has some other understanding, that would be it would be a role that we would have a report. What's the up and coming, what's the Park Conservancy up to? Have they raised a bunch of money? I could tell you that they did last year give us, I believe it was $19,000 for different projects. So they have supported different projects that we have. They were also at our Marathon Expo and had a lot of great feedback. They've also had some changeover in the board and got some new board members. I'm excited about that. So they've also worked an agreement with Little Rock CVB to handle some processing for some bigger events that are coming, so where they can make some commission or some dollars off of that as well, which will be able to return back into the Parks Department. So yeah, there's a lot going on there. I wish always could be more, right? But if we started sponsorships at say a ball court somewhere, and we wanted to take that money and put it into that ball court, say, the Park Conservancy is a great position to do that. That's what that's set up for. So maybe there's a group that raises money for a certain need that they see, and that goes into that conservancy, and then that conservancy returns the money to us to facilitate that need for that park amenity. So, and then likewise, y'all could do the same thing and work with our conservancy.
Was Matt or?
Yeah, so previously that was a little duplicity or whatnot. Was Matt Bowie, our previous chair for the commission, was also our chair for the conservancy. If you're not aware, he stepped down from both. That wasn't anything that I did. I think I'm just, he moved on to some other things. He did a great role and was a great help for us for many years. Yeah. And I don't know if that maybe took a little bit away from the conservancy, because he was always here and could answer those. And maybe that's why the committee chair or whatever might not have been that big of a role, because our chair was the chair, Anyway.
All right, any other questions on the new agenda format? I think the couple of things is Commissioner Firstall talked about having a new line item for outside presentations, and then under new business having events and continue to have subcommittees. And then we'll vote on next month, or I guess appoint new chair for the subcommittees. Any other questions, comments on the new agenda format? All right. So last month, we proposed no new business for this month, so we can skip right toward agenda items for next meeting. Go ahead.
One hesitation there. So we haven't heard from our great staff yet today.
Okay.
And so we kind of skipped through that because we're talking about the agenda, but I know we said they all gave out their reports, but I would like to ask if there's any questions or follow up on staff. Brittany got to say a few things, but we have Justin here and Perry and Shawanda. So if there's anything in the reports or any outstanding projects that have any questions, Brittany mentioned this briefly, but we did have a treehouse ribbon cutting today. Sorry you weren't made aware of it, but it was a real quick decision, almost overnight decision to have Margaret Clark, who is the donor who gave us some funds to build the treehouse, wanted to come down, and we did a quick little ribbon cutting down there with a few city directors and some of our staff that were able to build that project in-house. And so it was a great project, and moving forward from there. But any questions for our staff or anything else?
I had a question about the marathon. I know we talked about that last meeting. How'd it go, and was it a success?
Yeah, so Mike Garrity's not here. They're probably in a way still recovering in Geneva. They're actually officing out of here temporary. But yes, it was an extreme success, completely sold out. I participated each morning giving an announcement to the runners, and so I was there, and we did have to move the main marathon to a 6 o'clock start time, which made the early start time 5:30 in the morning. So kind of crazy in the fact that it was still dark and all this, but staff were able to get additional light towers and light it, and actually a lot of the runners were excited that it was earlier, believe it or not. But we did that because of the heat. It got hot Sunday. You don't think that 70 something degrees, 75 degrees is hot, but that actually makes the asphalt 100 degrees. So there's concerns there, but that's one of our biggest concerns, because we'd actually have to shut down the race and go pick up people and take them back to the expo. So we made it all through that. I don't know of any other big concerns that they had. We had a full operation out at our emergency command, which I went out and saw. The mayor came down and gave a welcome and a speech, and that was all great. The expo seemed to be really doing really well. Our staff, our recreation staff, had a exhibit there. As I said, the Parks Conservancy had an exhibit there, or not an exhibit, but a booth. So it was good. We had a good event. So thanks for asking.
I got two questions. Shawanda, for spring break next week, do you anticipate the community centers being a lot more attendance?
Good afternoon. Yes, they'll be open every day from about 8 till 9, doing activities and programs for the citizens of Little Rock and all the kids. And as well as Brittany mentioned, the planetarium. So everything that they'll be doing that week, a lot of emphasis will be on the total eclipse and various activities and programs they'll be doing, field trips around the city.
Okay, thank you. This is for everyone, I guess, staff. I mean, do you anticipate with the eclipse, they're talking about 1.5 million people being in Arkansas. Like, you anticipate more people being at the actual parks and community centers that day on March or April 8th?
Yes, we'll have viewing parties and things like that, all kind of activities all day long at the community centers. Because school will be out, so we do have activities and things for the kids to do all day.
Yeah, our recreation staff have built a lot of different events around the eclipse. There's events leading up to the eclipse. I gave us a quick presentation at the last board meeting. We do have watch parties at our golf courses, we're open anyway. And so we're trying to add to that experience and do different things at each of our facilities. So come out if you're in the neighborhood or a frequent user of our golf course. We'll have different fun events at each of our facilities.
And also we'll have a youth arts contest is actually going on right now. So if anyone would like to participate, it's for elementary, middle, and high school kids. I think it's 6 to 15. So if you know anyone who would like to enter the art contest, and it's all centered around the total eclipse. So yes, that's a great event. We do this every year, art contest.
And all of that information that we're sharing about the eclipse, Brittany has loaded on our website.
Yes.
And the city website has a bunch of information, so that's where you can get the information.
Great. Thank you all.
Are y'all having to do any extra preparation for the additional traffic coming in? I mean, as far as more trash receptacles, parking, just to plan for that many people coming in without being left a chaos mess. Have y'all had to do anything else?
I mean, I'd like to say yes. I mean, but it's one of those magic ball kind of things. Like, where's everybody going to go? I think there's going to be a great diversity of events. There's so many different events going on throughout the city. Hopefully it spreads it out. I also would have thought by now that we would have been overwhelmed with reservations. We set up some camping sites, thinking that there would be some overwhelming, hotels would be booked and there's no place to stay and everybody wants to come. We would be getting phone calls off the hook that people wanted to come and stay here. So we have all that organized and it's kind of packaged away. We have one site online and I don't believe we've had any reservations to date, and we're less than 30 days out, I believe. So, the answer is yes to a degree, but in terms of like managing traffic or anything like that, it's pretty hard to understand how to make any changes. I know that, I guess the board could speak to this in their section, and that the Little Rock PD is, all, what do you call it? All on call or all here? Or...
And there's been an emergency declaration that we had to do just because of the potential impact. And from what I understand, talking to people at the Convention and Visitors Bureau, it is not unusual that we are not full yet. People are waiting for that last weather forecast. Are you going to be able to see anything? And that will be about 10 to 14 days out. So the clock is ticking. I think everybody's kind of girding their loins, and it will happen, if there's a chance to see it. But I think there'll be more to come that last week in March, which is almost here.
There's also, I've heard a lot too about, like Russellville or just north of us or just a little west. If you're really a follower of this, I guess, you want to get every minute or every second. Little Rock is a little bit on the cusp of it more so than, say, Russellville or something like that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know where everybody's going to go. We're prepared in terms of all of our facilities and our staffing and everything, and as much as we can be that we know of. Thank you.
Beth, do we need to vote on the new agenda format, or is it?
Generally, this commission has not voted on an agenda format.
Okay.
It's established
Okay.
with communications between the chair and the director of the
Okay.
Parks Department.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
Operations, I just want, Justin's working on a project out at Canis Park where we're going to reseat all the poles for the pickleball nets, which means the courts will be closed for a couple weeks, although we're going to allow people to bring temporary nets out. But anyhow, just for awareness, in case you hear about that, that's what's going on out there.
Okay.
That reminded me one more thing about Canis. We're working really hard to finish the basketball project. Hopeful with the weather, the landscape company, the energy putting in the meter, all these little final things. We're hopeful that we can have something in the next couple of weeks in terms of a ribbon cutting. And if we were able to do that, Brittany will be sending out a save the date. I'll make sure Mahogany sends that to you. These are one of those bigger events where your presence would be highly appreciative. This is a really big project for us. So we'll determine that over the next couple of weeks when that's going to happen. We're really trying to make sure that it is 100%. I know people are out there playing basketball right now. It is not completed, but we're just almost there. And just a small note on that too about communication. So Mahogany, our admin assistant over there, is your point of contact for any quick clarifications or information. If you ever have any needs or any need some phone numbers or just hey, what about that event? Mahogany can get you that information. So without having to go through Ben or whoever, Mahogany can help with that. So Thanks. Right, but I'm just saying for a point of person, there in the bylaws, it actually states that there's a staff member, I guess, of some nature that helps with the commissioners in terms of information and whatnot, and that would be Mahogany. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I forget, so in your packet, there's a list of commissioners and our 2 city directors and staff. So this is great because it's hard to sometimes keep up. It has everyone's emails on it, so make sure you take that home with you. Moving along to the next agenda item is actually agenda items for next meeting. Yes, sir.
I had some questions on the reports. I was just
Okay.
waiting for other stuff to clear out.
Oh, no worries. Sorry.
So a couple of things that would be helpful, and I'm sure you guys have the data in some format, Shawanda, but I would really, I'm a data person, I like looking at data, but if there's a nice summary, and I think it would behoove Parks and Rec in general to have it on, you know, I've seen it repeatedly, but, you know, you talk about the Latchkey program, just different things, you know, how many kids are typically frequenting the community centers, attendance at Jim Daly Fitness Center. I mean, just stuff like that that helps us advocate and helps you all advocate when you're going to the city board on here's the lives impacted or here's the investment that, you know, we're putting in and what the community's getting out of it. You know, the easy one for me was the tennis tournaments, you know, and I talked to Leland, I think briefly once about it. And I just grabbed the data from the entries of the tennis tournament, and it was last year, but it's the one that's right now, like one of the larger ones. I mean, there's people from 27 states here for a weekend. And when one kid comes, and it's like this in any sport that's competitive, when one kid comes, there's usually a parent or two or a sibling and a car. And, you know, I mean, it's just, some of that data is nice to have. And I think it helps for when we're going to the city board saying, hey, it would be great to, you know, whatever Mike brought up, pickleball, right? Like how many people are normally out there? I mean, just stuff like that would be, and I'm not saying I know how to collect the data and make that an easy thing, but that would be really nice. And it seems like a lot of it funnels through you from the operation side. So I'm not trying to kill you on requesting a bunch of things, but just anything would help. And then okay.
If I can respond to that real quick too.
Sure.
Brianna is our data and special project coordinator. Her and I are working together with the city's new data standards team. So we had our first meeting of the year today, right before this meeting. And there have been multiple meetings with Leland and all the deputy directors where we are creating SMART goals, which I'm sure you are aware are specific, measurable, attainable, time-based, and youth and adult athletics and recreational programs are one of the metrics that we are reporting to the mayor this year. So we've had Susie Matheny and Shawanda and all of the programmers at the community centers sending in data that Brianna and I are working on. And we've got numbers for the last 3 years for a baseline. And a goal to increase those. We're running an analysis now so that we can set a measurable goal, whether that's 5%, 10%, 15% based on what we find. So we are starting to track that, and because we have to report that to the mayor, we'll have that for y'all as well.
Anything else, Cannon?
No, sorry, that's it.
Okay. Any other questions or comments to the staff? Okay, moving on to agenda items for next meeting. I think, you know, one of those items is to appoint subcommittee chairs. That's going to be added. This is your time to add any agenda items to next month's new business. Anything from our commissioners? Okay. So I think for next month, we're going to talk about subcommittees and chairs for those subcommittees. Next item in the agenda is board liaison feedback. Both of our esteemed directors are here, so I'm going to first call out Director Peck. Do you have any comments, questions?
Oh, of course I do. Surprise, surprise. First of all, I'm going to commend Brittany for what she's doing, all of the staff, but the posts are great. If you don't like Little Rock Parks on social media, she's posting almost every day. Like it, share it. It's great information. Treehouse event was very cool. Yeah, I found out about 10 o'clock last night, but I showed up. But the thing that I want to talk about is something that is happening very quickly, and I think it's a perfect partnership between Parks and Public Works. And I know you all watched the board meeting last night because it's such fascinating television. But towards the end, we had a policy discussion on litter. And so I have appointed myself, self-appointment, the litter czar or czarina of Little Rock. And I am on fire about this. We are going to start with just the low-hanging fruit, which is our Adopt a Street program. There's a lot of trash everywhere. The parks, all over our city. And we somehow come together if it's a big event like Keep Little Rock Beautiful, which happened Saturday. We had hundreds of people. Andrea and her whole sorority was out. I don't know how much we picked up, but it was thousands of tons of trash. Mostly people just throw things out of their car. So I've done a little research. The biggest litterers are aged 18 to 32. Older people and the younger people get it. So I want to start a very aggressive anti-litter campaign. We need a snappy slogan, guilt people into taking some pride, because this is a quality life issue. And if people come to town, whether it's for a youth event or a new business looking to come here, if our city looks trashy, they're going to, maybe not come. So the Adopt a Street program, I'm asking all of you to take one of these, and whether it's your HOA or POA, Adopt a Street, let's start there. And then I'm going to be meeting probably in about an hour with Aaron in communications. So we're going to come up with a contest to name it. Like Texas had Don't Mess with Texas. It was hugely successful, and they had celebrities involved, and the messaging really started with kids, because as those of you who have children know, kids teach adults. I mean, they do. And so I think it's just a natural partnership with Parks and Public Works to start addressing this really horrible litter problem that's in our city. So I just want to throw that out there. You're going to probably hear me talking about it a lot. But the first thing to do is, if you haven't adopted a street, adopt a street or highway. That's it. And I'm serious about it.
There's also Adopt a Park program.
And Adopt a Park, yeah.
An Adopt a Flower Bed program, and Adopt a Anything program for parks. So, and I say that sarcastically, but I think we just adopted a ball field with the Hillcrest Softball League, which is great. They were out there painting the fence the other day. So just had to throw that in there.
Oh, yeah. And, I think when we kind of come up with a slogan, which I think is going to be pretty quickly, we already have Impact the Rock coming up in April that we've done for a number of years now. We target projects in all 7 wards across the city. Karen Sykes is working on that. I know in Ward 4, it's going to be at Butler Park this year. I think you'll start seeing a lot of information about that. But I think, we live in the natural state. It's beautiful. It's not just that it's ugly, but it affects, go to Fush Creek. Look at the wildlife and the waterfowl. You ever tried to kayak around those booms on Fush Creek? It is, when you throw things when people throw things out of their car and they go into those cool storm drains, guess what? They don't disappear. They go to Fush Creek. 73% of the crap goes into Fush Creek, which is the biggest urban waterway in the South and one of the biggest in the whole country. So I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I am on fire about this, and I'm going to get a trash can crown for myself, and I'm going to keep harping this. But I hope that Parks and Public Works and the whole city can do this together to clean up our parks and clean up our neighborhoods. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Director Lewis?
Love her passion.
Mm-hmm.
But no, thanks seriously to all of you and Director Peck for taking this initiative on, because it is so bad. And I just wanted to reiterate, I know some of the neighborhood associations in my ward have quarterly cleanups. So I think if we do spread the awareness for that, we could get a handle on it. So I definitely want a pamphlet because I'll notify them about the Adopt a Street, and maybe we can just, do more in that regards outside of just the quarterly cleanups. So,
And one reason we started here is because it already exists. Although it hasn't really been maintained, it resides in the Public Works Department. But we are getting ready to have a UA Little Rock intern to sort of revamp that. A lot of it's outdated. People don't even live on the street that they've adopted, and just really start here because it's an existing program that can make a big difference. And, it's 4 times a year, 8 times a year. It's not really enough. But I think if we start making an impact, which we already have, I mean, just driving around after the marathon, you're seeing it, and people are all on board to clean up for the eclipse. But why do we just clean up when visitors are coming? We live here. Anyway, sorry, I'm a little amped up about it.
I get it. So I think the Adopt a Street will get more volume done. I just want to say kudos. I've been pinging you on the side about Canis Park because we have a group, and Parkview specifically, that wants to tie into this grand opening event. So we're looking forward to really doing something big when Canis Park is officially complete. So, and
That sounds awesome.
Is that still late spring, early summer? That's what I've been saying. That's my safe answer, but is that true? Okay. 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 Then we're good. Thank you.
Justin, can you give her a quick update on the trail too? I mean, the other improvements at Kiwanis, right? There's some trail improvements, right?
Thank you.
I just want to comment too on, I appreciate staff getting all that together, but just so if somebody's watching or listening, the way that those projects came about is because we asked for citizen input, and we had bond funds, and we took the citizen input, presented it to executive administration. It was also presented to the board. I mean, so there's a whole process. We didn't just say we're going to go do Kiwanis. And so being included in your your local park and be a user and getting active is how we can get these improved. So appreciate
It's
it.
a proven testament because those community meetings are now what's driving, the consistent feedback, which is good because they're just looking forward to, okay, this is what we talked about. Now what's the timeline and so forth. So it definitely works. Yes, perfect. Perfect. Thank you. We should definitely celebrate.
All right, I've got 12:59. Our next meeting is April 10th. So I hope everyone can be there. Last comment, I was talking to someone from DC yesterday, and she just had so many good things to say about Little Rock, and she used to visit a lot. So I think be proud of Little Rock and as Director Peck and Director Lewis. So let's try to do our part to make this city even more beautiful. So with that, I'll end the meeting. So thank you all.
Waiting all day to do that, haven't you?
That was a nice touch.
Did you like that? Was that aggressive?
Good.
That's all right.